Stay tuned for tonight's adventure with the Fat Man.
Okay, here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is. I hope it's good to be where you are because I'm really excited to be here today. My name is Baltimore Vets, and this is Space Dummies. Yeah! Okay, have fun, guys. All right, so it's looking like tomorrow is the day for NASA and their Artemis moon mission after a failed attempt earlier this week to launch Artemis 1 due to some cooling issues in the engines. Either the engines were cooling too fast or they weren't cooling enough. I don't know. I didn't pay that close attention, right? But allegedly, they're sending this thing up tomorrow. And so, in the Artemis Fowl episode, we talk about Artemis being the name of NASA's next manned moon mission. And this makes sense, of course, because the first manned moon mission was named after Apollo, and so why not name the second one after his sister Artemis? Right? But the thing about this is, here in Mud City, we know that Artemis and Apollo are all about slaughtering children. Right? So it makes me wonder, how many children had to be sacrificed for this moon mission. And, that's one of the more morbid aspects of Mud City and the way that, that paradigm spins this tale, right? And so, that's, I hate thinking about that, but, that is an element that kind of needs to be considered in this. And, but to move this story along, this Artemis 1 mission is an unmanned mission. And I like how they put it here at Wiki. They phrase it as an uncrewed moon orbiting mission, showing their PC side, their awareness of identity politics, right? And so essentially this is just a dry run for their future manned missions, right? But this dry run could be a mission that spells the end for astronauts as we think about them, or at least as I think about them, right? Because they're pilots, right? They drive the spaceship, right? And so if this mission doesn't need a pilot, then why would the future missions, Because they've invested, this is unbelievable, they've invested a staggering $93 billion into this mission, right? And so I don't know what fraction of that goes into this Artemis 1 launch, but they're just willing to jettison this, who knows how many tens of millions of dollars of equipment if something should go wrong, right? Because there would be nobody aboard to fly this thing home if it needed to be flown home. I think that's really kind of an amazing aspect of this story. But, fear not, because there will be dummies aboard Artemis 1 regardless, right? Because it says here that Artemis dummies will save astronauts from space radiation during moon trips. Here's how, right? And this is from last month, I guess. Yeah, July 10th. And here are those dummies as they ready for their mission to space. Right? And this is really amazing because it says here that the German Aerospace Center, in a joint project with the Israel Space Agency, you can talk about your strange bedfellows. I mean, this is really unbelievable, especially with the crystal ball that I have, and the way that this is going to play in going forward, because the mannequin's name, because one of the mannequins' name is Helga, right? And Helga is a very strong female Viking name, right? So this is really going to be unbelievable kind of going forward. And you guys will see what I mean as I get to the season premiere, hopefully in a couple of weeks, right? And so what these dummies are designed to do is they're designed to wear these radiation vests, right? And these radiation vests are going to measure the amount of radiation absorbed by objects as they pass through the Van Allen belt on their way to the moon. Right? And it's really important that one of them is a woman or female shaped anyway, because what they need to do is they need to test radiation. They need to test the effects of radiation on women. Notably, the newly added dummies are female shaped to measure the effects of long-term space flights on women astronauts. This is because NASA is planning to send the first female astronaut to the moon under its Artemis program. We chose female phantoms, and I love that word, phantom, because the number of women flying to space is increasing, and also because the female body is typically more vulnerable to radiation. And so they chose female phantom figures because the number of women flying to space is increasing. So how many women, I asked myself, how many women have been to space? The number is 60. That's an awful lot of data they have right there about the effects of radiation on women in space, right? Because make no mistake, these women were space travelers, right? The Federation Aeronautique Internationale defines spaceflight as any flight over 100 kilometers in altitude. And so women have been out there, right? They should have plenty of information about the effects of radiation on women in space. How much does the radiation change the deeper you go? Because we can't forget what we've learned about the effects of radiation from the Van Allen belt by looking at the people who have lived through it, right? And there have been 12 of them. All of them American, by the way, which is interesting. And all of them seem to have lived long, healthy lives, right? Neil Armstrong dead at 82, and there's some of them who still are alive. Buzz Aldrin is 92 years old. Let's ask him what the effects of the radiation, let's ask him what the effects of the Van Allen belt radiation were or are, right? This guy lived to be 69. All but one of them lived to be a fairly decent age, 86, 74. 85. Here's another one still living at 90. How harmful could this radiation be if every single person who went through it had such a long, healthy life, or a presumably healthy life, How much consideration has NASA given this data at hand before approving this test flight? That costs who knows how many billions of dollars, right? And then there's the mission itself, right? This is unbelievable. It says here, where is it? Right, NASA's Artemis 1 moon mission explained in photos. NASA is aware that photos is just an abbreviation for photographs, right? Because none of this is really photograph, right? Maybe this one, right? We are going, right? But here's their moon mission in photographs, right? Yep, this is a photograph, right? No doubt about it. And one thing that they failed to take into consideration here with this photograph, and I think with missions like this in general, is that there are a whole lot of satellites whizzing around the Earth out there. In fact, there are 6,000 of them. Most of them defunct. Over 60% of them are defunct. They are space junk whizzing around at 17,000 miles an hour, or 28,000 kilometers per hour. They are just whizzing around, yet this rocket is just going to cut right through there like the fastest game of Frogger. It's just unbelievable that they could get through there. Not to mention whatever else space debris and junk is out there. And that's because they're prepared to leave this thing dumped if something were to go wrong. It is just really unbelievable. And so, I don't know. Anyway, I caught this story this morning. I thought I would have a little fun with it and share it with you guys. I'm hard at work on what will be, certainly I don't know how long a series, but the series premiere is coming, and hopefully in a couple of weeks. I don't know, maybe sooner, And so anyway, remember guys, just because you don't know the truth doesn't mean you can't have fun with the lies, right? And so until the season premiere, I guess, cheers.